Welcome to the Corner Cafe.
About the things.
And welcome to the Corner Cafe. I am Rachel Maines, and I have my good friend Priscilla Rahn here. Welcome back to the Corner Cafe.
It's great to be with you, as always, Rachel.
Well, great to have you. And you're a busy lady during this season. For those of you who are new to Priscilla Rahn, well, first of all, she's married to Darren Rahn, who's a Billboard charting jazz artist and producer. And then now Priscilla is running for office, and we talked about this a couple months ago. So how's that been going?
Oh, it's been a whirlwind. We've, school's out now as of yesterday.
And she's a teacher, people.
Yes. So today it was like high octane. I mean, it's been a high octane since we've spoken last. And I started campaigning last July. And so we're coming up on almost a year of campaigning. And I mean, I'm meeting so many amazing people in Douglas County. It's such a gift to talk to your neighbors who live here and just hear what's on their mind. It's been really great.
I've always wondered in general, but then seeing my friend go through the process of, running, how are you staying grounded in your faith and just as a person as you run for office? Because it's a lot of work. And I know it's a passion too, but how are you staying grounded in all that?
I think for those of us who are believers, you have to really dig into your prayer life. That's so critical. Our church is really, really big on prayer. My pastor always says you can fake a lot of things as a Christian, but you really can't fake a prayer life, because that prayer life will change you. It'll refocus you into more spiritual things. And our church now has prayer like every Saturday. And at first I thought, wow, that's a big commitment, every Saturday morning from 8 to 9. And I said to myself, I used to get up and do bodybuilding at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
I used to do 3 hours in the gym.
Yeah.
Right? I'm like, if I can do that, I can get up and go give God an hour of my time and prayer and really stay connected to Him.
Right.
And it has changed how I have approached this campaign versus my campaign 4 years ago.
Wow.
And of course, being married to Darren.
Yeah. He's pretty grounding.
He's such an amazing spiritual leader, and my entire family, they always say, we're praying for you and giving me really good godly advice. And so I would say, make sure you are grounded in your prayer life. Mm-hmm. And then make sure you surround yourself with other godly people with wisdom, and that you know who you're listening to, because everybody wants to give you advice.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Everybody wants to gossip. And that's another thing. It's like trying to separate myself from the things that I see on social media and not respond. Mm-hmm. Like, I've been really good at not responding to stuff on social media.
That is like a lot of self-control.
Yes. It's a very different thing for me, because I'm such a fighter.
Yeah.
And I want to respond to everything. And I was like, I don't have to respond to everything.
Yeah. It's funny because, things that are triggering, which everybody says, don't ever talk about religion and politics, right? But here at the Corner Cafe, we want to talk about religion and politics, and of course you do too, as someone who's running and who is a believer, right? But yeah, social media can just really, make things interesting in that way. But yeah, I think as believers too, I remember I posted something online recently, something about like life is short, and if you definitely spend time like arguing with strangers online, is like very sarcastic, right? So yeah, it goes nowhere. But we also have to still share what we feel, right? We don't want to, the intimidation of maybe having conflict. We still have to move forward and share what we feel is right.
Yeah. So our faith is embedded in who we are and how we interact with people every day and how we respond. And that doesn't make us perfect people. Of course we fail. Of course we have fleshly moments where we respond emotionally or in anger, and then we have to take a step back and die to our flesh daily and say, God, just make me a better person the next time that happens. I need you to take over. And He will, because He's faithful to, because that's in alignment with His word.
Right.
But yeah, I would say don't be afraid to lead with a biblical worldview, because the Bible talks about good leaders and bad leaders, good judges and bad judges. You know, when you have good leaders, the people are happy.
Right.
When you have corrupt leadership, the people suffer. And we see that in our politics today. It's so polarizing. People who claim to be Christians, and you know, it's easy to quote scripture, but where's the fruit, right? The fruit has to match what you're saying. And so that's the thing God has been convicting me on. It's like, okay, Priscilla, you keep telling everybody you're a Christian, but is it obvious, right? And so I would say, whereas you don't need to bash people over the head with your faith, but you incorporate it because it's a natural part of how you just interact with people and how you represent, how you represent God.
Right.
And hopefully doors will be open to where you can actually talk about the number one most important thing, which is the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Right. So when you felt on your heart that you were going to do this thing called politics, what most excited you about it?
Well, it's hard to find political leaders that you admire. And I was like, I want to be the kind of person in an elected office that people could admire and respect. And that's really just it. It's like, if I say, where are they? And then I'm like, well, could I be that type of a leader?
Right.
Then I really would love an opportunity to just make a positive difference in my community. So that's the approach that I take. Again, I'm not a perfect person. I'm sure there have been and will be decisions that I make that at the time I might regret or say, well, I wish I had more information. I would have made a different decision or had a different solution. But you just try your best. And I think people see sincerity in their leadership, humility. People pay attention to politicians, and they know their heart, and they're quick to forgive if you're the kind of person who's humble and it's not about you or your agenda. It's literally about listening to the public and trying to make life better for them. Right. I think that's just the kind of person that I want to be.
Right. And you are. And
well, thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that it's real great that, you know, because I know you're a fighter, and I'm sure there came that moment where you were thinking, man, I just wish there was somebody I could look up to. And then you're well, wait a minute, why don't I do it? You know? And there's so many of us who get frustrated, but are we willing to then fill in the gap? You know? So I think that's really great. So thanks for doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
And I just got my mail-in ballot, and I will be voting, and of course voting for Priscilla. So I'm looking forward to that, to be able to check that little box right there, or little thing I fill in. Circle in. Yeah, circle in. So that'll be exciting for me. But Priscilla, we're going to go to a break. I guess I'm going to ask this question next after the break, because we're halfway through. So stay tuned to the Corner Cafe. We will be right back. Hi friends, Rachel Maines here, and if you don't know already, I am the operations manager for AM 670 KLTT, and we have a special opportunity for you. We're partnering with GFA World again, and this time we're helping to provide the Holy Scriptures to those in Africa and Asia. There's actually millions of people in Africa and Asia who don't have access to God's Word. So would you partner with us and give today? It's super simple. All you have to do is go to our website, 670kltt.com, and scroll down and click on the scrolling banner that says Give God's Word. You can also give them a call at 855-571-9776. So give today. You know, I hear these precious stories of these new believers who get access to Holy Scriptures, and then they wrap it in a special cloth and they place it in a special place in their home. So it truly is precious and wonderful for them to receive God's holy word. So once again, go to our website, 670kltt.com, and thanks for your gift.
When the economy is unstable and jobs are in jeopardy, it's natural to be more concerned than ever about getting ahead. It's also very easy to fall prey to what author Paul Lewis calls the around the corner syndrome. The scenario goes like this. If you just put in extra hours for the next 6 months, the result will be a nice raise or a big commission or a successful new business that'll practically run itself. Well, it sounds good in theory. In practice, though, we know what's really waiting around the corner. Another corner, more hard work, a bigger project, and another deadline. Before we commit to something that's just around the corner, we need to ask ourselves some important questions. Is it worth missing out on this phase of your child's life? Is it worth risking the stability of your marriage? To jam it in on top of everything else is usually a big mistake.
For more information, visit drdobsonminute.org.
And welcome back to the Corner Cafe, and I have my friend Priscilla Rahn, and she is running, and she's in the primary, and I see you, Priscilla, off the highway when I drive back from Castle Rock. I'm like, oh, that's Priscilla's sign. Good job with your sign.
Thank you. Oh, I learned a lot about putting up 4x8 signs.
Sure. Got a lot of exercise
Yes,
too, putting them in.
yes.
That's hilarious. But why should folks vote for you? What do you bring to the table?
So I think about a couple of things that are unique to me as a candidate. One is my experience, and also naturally being a conservative, but my experience on the Planning Commission. So 4 years ago, I was appointed to the Planning Commission. I was reappointed this year. And last year I was elected chair of the Planning Commission. And so what the Planning Commission is, we are a body of 9 people appointed, 3 from each of the 3 districts to represent Douglas County. And we hear all of the land use applications before the commissioners do. So we are the body that represent all of our constituents to make recommendations. And so that means we hear everything from zoning applications, location and extents, development, density, water, all kinds of things, electricity, energy, transportation. These are all the different moving parts of what a commissioner has to make a decision on. And so the best training I've received is having served for 4 years on the Planning Commission.
Yeah.
And you learn all about the laws and the new bills and requirements that have to happen in order for things to happen in the county. Viability is another one. I've out fundraised my 2 opponents. It's been a real blessing to have. We've raised over $130,000 so far for the campaign, and campaigns are expensive.
Yeah.
You're paying for ads, you're paying for mailers, 4x8 signs with your face on it.
Up at 525. Yeah.
So those are the types of things that everything's just more expensive now, right?
Yeah.
So you just have to really work hard. And it's also such a honor when someone says, like, here's my money, here's my $25, here's my $100, whatever it is that they can afford to give, they are entrusting you and they're putting their faith in you. It's just a sign of support.
Yeah.
I do have what I call the trifecta of endorsements in Douglas County of law enforcement, which is our awesome Sheriff Weekly, our DA, John Kellner, and the Fraternal Order of Police, which are our men and women in blue who wear the badge every single day. So they're the local lodge and the state lodge endorsed my campaign, along with some other really notable former politicians, like former Governor Owens, who's the last Republican governor, Jane Norton, who we know, who goes to our church, last Lieutenant Governor. She's amazing. So just a lot of support. I'm learning a lot about what are the ingredients for being a great candidate. And so that's what I think of. And then again, finally, it's like just being able to talk to people and be in the community and understand the issues and care about the issues and have a lot of energy, which I bring. I'm not a career politician. I'm young, I have a lot of energy, and I'm having fun. So that's why I think, and I have a plan. I just think it's really important that you don't just apply for a job and just keep a status quo. We have problems to solve, and if people go to my website, they'll read my plan to reduce your property taxes.
Nice.
So,
yes. Well, you have my vote for sure, but I think all that is just amazing, and that the Lord has really been the foundation of your campaign, and that now as you're praying, I love that He's showing you, improving character and just showing you greater wisdom. For Christians, we should want to vote for, even if Priscilla wasn't a friend, just vote for people who have a common faith, right? How do you see the political climate in the next, year or two? It seems as if, this next election, especially the presidential, is going to be really rough.
Yeah. If people respond to politics in their flesh, it could be very concerning because, folks, they'll respond emotionally. Like we've seen it in different points in the last 4 years since COVID. There were riots, people like the BLM riots, or people responding. They don't like who got elected, but we're in a democracy, right? So we have to accept who wins the Electoral College. And so my thing is, if you are a person of faith and you're professing Christian, just remember who's on the throne.
Right.
Like, we can get so obsessed with who our elected officials are, but the Bible says he raises up leaders. And so we have to trust in God's plan.
Right.
But then remember, what is the most important thing that unites us? It's our salvation. That's the thing that God is like, someone may not vote, a friend of mine may not vote for me, or someone in my church may not vote for me, and that's okay, because what we do agree on, if this is the most important thing, is our salvation. And that's how I have to think about it, because everybody has a right to vote for and support who they want.
Yeah.
But don't let that be a relationship issue.
Right. Yeah, because I have a personal experience with a friend who we no longer talk because of politics. I would love to reconcile, but it is what it is, sadly. We used to, though, I remember a day when we could, agree to disagree, and it just seems now it's just gotten so heated. How do you feel in your political realm that we can kind of turn that around?
Just to remember, we have what we call the hostiles, and then we have what we call the persuadables. Hostiles are people that if you start talking to them about something, it could turn ugly really quick, and that could really be destructive in a relationship, and a conversation that goes nowhere, and could then cause you to respond in a way that's not godly. Yeah. So focus your conversations on the 80% who are either agreeing with you or are persuadable, someone who's actually open-minded and will have a conversation, and then find areas where you agree and say, okay, we can agree on this. How can we work together on this? Knowing it's a maturity thing. Yeah. Right? It's so you be the bigger person and know how far to push, and ask questions. Like, sometimes it's just about, I know I don't agree with you, but tell me what you think and why you think that. And then I just listen and I go, it's a different perspective. Yeah. And I can respect that. Yeah. It's okay. I still love you.
Right. Yeah, I think asking questions is great. Instead of just voicing our opinion, ask them, hey, well, I like that. I don't agree with you, but share your heart about that particular thing. Yeah, and I think being open to that. And I pray, that as a society, we can go back to that, and get away from the divisiveness of everything.
Well, I think what people are seeing, high inflation, cost of goods, this is the first generation where young people are not doing better than their parents. Yeah. Every year, children have done better than their parents. Yeah. Now we've got young adults living with their folks in their home, and so they're suffering, and right now we don't have leaders who are solving problems. They're making problems worse. Right. So I think that's what we're seeing in our politics today.
Right. Well, that's why I got to vote for people like Priscilla Rahn. Priscilla, how can our listeners get in touch with you? And if they want to, obviously you can see her on the ballot and vote for her, but you could also make a donation too.
Yeah. So I'm on all platforms, social media, Priscilla for Dougco. It's PRISCILLAFOR. Dougco.com. So that's my website, my X, my Twitter, all the things are Priscilla for Dougco. And I would love to connect with you. And there is a place on my website where you can send me a message, ask me a question. Please ask me a question about Douglas County. That's really, people get so enamored with the shiny things like federal races. But it's the local races that impact your life more directly. So I always appreciate when someone asks me a question about Douglas County specifically, because that's the job applying for.
Right.
And I really don't have anything to do with federal races anyway.
Right.
so.
I mean, we all want to talk about that, but yeah, that's a good point. So kind of ending the conversation here then, why do you feel Douglas County is so special?
Well, I believe in small government. I'm a Frederick Douglass Republican, so I believe in the life empowering values of the Constitution. And when you live in a county where the leadership is like-minded and you have a community of people who believe in the family unit, who want to raise their children in loving homes and where they want small government, low taxes, then you want to protect that.
Right.
And people love living in Douglas County because there's more freedom here instead of force. So that's why I'm running for Douglas County, because this is where I want to raise my family. It's where I live, and I want to keep Douglas County the special place that it is.
Yeah. And how can you encourage our listeners? Obviously, they can donate to your campaign, obviously vote for you, but how can you encourage them to, if we live in Douglas County or somewhere else, to really support the community that they're living in?
Well, you can door knock, you can make phone calls, you can talk to your neighbors, you can host meet and greets. There's all kinds of amazing things in your comfort level that you can do. So I would just encourage you to find something that you like to do and just get involved.
Yeah, just get involved. There's so many things to do and so many ways you can get involved. So once again, give your website, Priscilla.
Excuse me, PriscillaForDougCo.com.
All right, well, thanks for coming on the Corner Cafe. We'll have you back when you're voted in, and we'll be touching base with her and seeing how things are going in the future with her career and stuff. So thank you for tuning into the Corner Cafe. And for you radio listeners, if you are listening on radio and you'd like to see our videos, we post videos online. Just go to our website, cornercaferadio.com. That's cornercaferadio.com. And thanks for being with us, and we're going to see you again next week.
This is forever.